I'm talking today to Damian Cook, who is the CEO of eTourism Frontiers. Damian, tell me how you got involved in this work.
It started out from being a destination consultant in East Africa, working with different destinations, both public and private sector, and seeing that there was a shortfall between what was happening worldwide when it came to online travel distribution and marketing and what was happening in the African markets. That people weren't investing in online, weren't using it in the right way, in clever ways, to both market their products and then actually sell them online as well.
And where is Africa in terms of online booking for tourism reservations?
There's a big gap between what's happened worldwide, where you've got more than half of travel now being not just researched and found, but booked, bought and sold online, and in Africa, where in those terms it's less than 5% that's being sold through those channels. So there's a big gap between the global situation and the African situation.
But that position of 5% has improved, hasn't it, from...
Yeah, a few years ago it was 2%. A lot of that's been driven through South Africa. The World Cup, which really put an accelerator on them when it came to getting more products online and selling them. So we are seeing the change happening, but there's still a lot of room for growth.
And what are the key linkages that have to be made in order to operate successfully online tourism?
In a lot of African destinations, the base problem is lack of e-commerce facilities. As much as you market yourself, use social media and all those cool things, if you drive them back to a non-transactional website or no website at all, it's money and time wasted. So getting e-commerce is step one in a lot of destinations, and there's a lot of African countries that still don't have legal e-commerce facilities. The second one is distribution being able to happen, so people having their hotel rooms available in real time, so they're still not relying on those phone calls or even an email, but being able to reflect their availability in real time, which allows them to sell from their own websites and through partner websites like online travel agencies like Expedia. And then knowledge in the industry of how to manage online and market online. So getting people to make that shift over, start allocating some inventory to online and increasing their marketing spend, particularly on social media, which is driving travel marketing now.
Yep. Describe the work you did with KCB to bring about the online payment gateway.
In Kenya, which is obviously a huge tourist economy, most people think of Kenya as a tourist destination, there was no facility for online payments. So a lot of suppliers were having to fall back on the very old school models of both marketing and distribution, so a lot of contracting with tour operators in Europe. But they needed to start shifting online. So we identified that need with the largest bank in the region, which is Kenya Commercial Bank. They were opening up a payment gateway. We made them aware through some lobbying that tourism was going to be their biggest source of foreign exchange when it came to online payments. So got them to focus on it and to partner with a real-time reservations software company from South Africa, who have a very big market share of small, medium hotels in South Africa.
Which company is that?
They're called Knightsbridge.
And how does the system work?
It's a very, very simple, easy to use software that doesn't require a lot of work by the hotelier. It's diary based, sits on their system, and they can see what rooms they have available at the moment, and then they can then open that up for real-time bookings either from their own website or through the bigger agencies that can draw inventory from that and make and process those sales. As the rooms go, they see it disappear from their diary system. So KCB partnered with them to integrate that so that the payments would go out through their payment gateway, and made it something that tourism businesses could come, get a bank account, become a merchant, and have this reservation solution. So very quickly get online and start selling online.
Yeah. So how does social media work for tourism?
Well, the critical change in understanding that people in the tourism sector have to accept is that they're no longer in charge when it comes to marketing their business. The modern traveller doesn't really care what you have to say on your official hotel website, tour operator website, or even a country's destination website. They want to get that information from other travellers and other tourists. So they'll turn to TripAdvisor, they will look at YouTube videos, travel videos as part of the research process. They see photos on Flickr, and the huge role that Facebook is playing. I mean, it's interesting that people say that 95% of travellers will turn to the internet as their primary source of information for travel. The number 2 area of influence when it comes to making that decision is influence of family and friends at about 66% in a recent survey. But if you think about where people are getting that influence from family and friends, which used to be at a dinner party or around the table, a lot of it's now coming on Facebook because they're seeing people travel. And the more that people are traveling with these things, they're posting those travel photos and videos. Those old slideshows they used to do in their living room are happening as they travel. So people are on that holiday with them as they travel, and that's having a huge influence on them. So social media is incredibly influential when it comes to travel making decisions.
And you were telling me earlier that the gorillas of Uganda have their own Facebook pages.
It's true. In Uganda, I mean, their number one selling tourist product is gorillas. But when we looked at what people, the tourist experience of going to see the gorillas are, they're not just taking a photo and leaving. They're very interested in the social network of gorillas. Who's the dominant male? Who is he mated with? Who's he fighting with? Who's going to take over the group? So we said to them in some training we did, you've got a social network of gorillas, you've got a social network of potential tourists, why not combine the two? So they appointed an agency to work with them to do that and develop the Friend a Gorilla program, put every gorilla in the country on Facebook, and the rangers update daily what the gorilla's done, when it's had a baby, when it's had a fight, when it's lost control of the group, and encourage everybody that goes to see the gorillas to then friend the gorillas and put up their own photos, their own videos. So they're then marketing to their friends and family using their own user-generated content, as the big buzzword is in travel marketing, direct from their product and driving bookings back to the country. So they've got nice clear booking links on the main Friend a Gorilla page.
And you were talking earlier about a piece of YouTube footage that has had 61 million views.
And generated out of Africa. And
yes.
We operate in emerging markets all over the world.
Describe the clip so that people understand the example.
This is a video that was shot in Kruger National Park by a 24-year-old American tourist. About 8 minutes of video. Most people, anyone that uses YouTube has probably seen this video. At this time it was the 12th most watched video on YouTube. 61 million views now, almost 100,000 comments. It's a fight between three species, buffaloes, lions and crocodiles, over a buffalo calf. That goes on as a tug of war between the crocodiles and the lions, and the buffaloes get involved, and it has a happy ending, which everybody loves. The buffalo calf makes it back to its mother. Not so happy for the lions, but the buffalo side, it was fantastic. And everywhere we train, in the Middle East, in Latin America, Asia, wherever, we always use this as probably the best example ever of user-generated content marketing tourism. Because if you think about 61 million people, that's not viewership of a television station that might have your ad, or a magazine, readership that maybe will see an ad, but 61 million people directly engaging with 8 minutes of content of Kruger National Park, talking about it online, commenting on it, putting the embed into Facebook, emailing it to their friends. There's nothing else you could do that would give you that level of access and market reach, and the budget was zero. So in these user-generated content terms, there's no better example than that. Generated by a user, published by a user, marketed by users.
Yeah. And very quickly, give me some sense of where different countries in Africa are in terms of the process of understanding online tourism.
It varies a lot, and it's even hard to say country by country because it's very much sectors within countries.
Yeah.
South Africa is probably the leader in that sense, but you still find in some sectors in South Africa very little understanding. A lot of the small guest houses, bed and breakfasts, family-run operations are still taking the things from the phone into an exercise book. So it varies a lot in destinations, but South Africa is very much the leader. A lot of very serious investment into online marketing, a really strong digital team, fantastic digital head who runs that for them, William Price. In a lot of other countries, you're actually seeing the private sector driving it, as opposed to government level. So a lot of strong social media presence from both private sector individuals and private sector associations. Starting to see that in East Africa and Kenya and Tanzania. West Africa is probably the virgin territory because the tourism sector tends to be more business driven, not so much leisure, not a lot of e-commerce facility available, not a lot of awareness in the industry. So they would be the ones that need to catch up the most.
Last question, just describe for me what it is you do as a company to, in a sense, facilitate this process of online tourism.
Sure. The approach we take, and we started off in Africa, but we're now working in the Middle East and other markets as well, but it's the same problems that we're dealing with, which is the lack of those fundamental resources to achieve online tourism and understanding in the industry. So the approach we take is to do training with both private and public sector, to show them we like to say that the why is there. Most governments and most private sector companies know why they need to sell online, but we're giving them the how. So showing them how to do it through really practical, easy to understand training. We produce textbooks that we give them. We have a fantastic interactive training program that can either run for a single day or 2 days that we take the private sector through. And then in terms of the bigger picture, we hold events where we bring in tech companies, online travel agencies, social networks from around the world to address these markets and say, look, we want to sell you. This is a new market for us.
So you bring in the likes of Expedia.com,
Expedia,
Hotels.com.
TripAdvisor, these guys will come in, say we want to sell you, but we can't because of ABC, and then we'll find local suppliers who can provide that ABC and get some business facilitation actually happening from those events.
And I understand that Expedia has opened an office in Africa to oversee.
Several, yeah.
Yeah.
They're present in South Africa. They've got partnerships in Kenya and Uganda. They're becoming quite strong. Booking.com have very strong market share here in Africa.
So there's an interest. It's not like there's no interest from the other end.
From these guys outside of Africa, of course, yeah, because these are new markets for them, which everybody's looking for now. New business and new markets. But it's just about creating an enabling environment for that to happen.
Damian, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you.